Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to hear an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy who's definitely pretty young. I'm guessing very early 20s. He doesn't say how old he is, but I'm guessing about there. And shares his story how a few years ago he got involved with one of his female coworkers. Huge mistake, which I tell you never do. And worse yet, she got pregnant. And also worse yet, you're going to find out that apparently she had quite the reputation for being the village bicycle. And as you all well aware, you can't turn an HOE into a housewife. They're not relationship material. So putting this all together, a recipe for disaster. And yet he did this and had to learn the hard way that you don't do these things. Fortunately now, because of certain circumstances, he's now turning things around and he's going to be all right. But it's a lesson to you guys not to make these same type of mistakes. And this video here, you know, I love videos with great triumphs and guys kicking butt, but there's other ones you just got to hear a guy make the mistakes so you know not what not to do. And also I want to point out, this guy's young and he wrote this. There's a lot of run-on sentences here, so bear with me as I do this. I don't have a lot of time to edit things, guys, so when you send me your stories, make sure you proofread and do good spelling and write this out the way that you'd want it read if you had to read it. So just bear with me here, but it's a good one. Young guy, because there's a lot of guys out there that are young, that don't have the guidance, that they don't have guys like me to tell them what's what. So you need to hear these stories that make sure it doesn't happen to you. So that being said, greetings SSM. I watched your videos for some time now, and my ex seemed to hate your channel. Well, that says everything. And these last few months of crap, figured getting this out might help someone out there, and myself moving on more, so I already have. Welcome, and look forward to any smacks I know are coming my way from my ex-blue-pilled self. Well, you can count on that, brother. Before what went down back in August of 2023, some backstory for my help. I, Jack, met my now ex and mother of my daughter, Jill, both fake names, back right before the virus hit, and I'd say around 2020 or 2019 if I remember correctly. She started working at my place of work on a morning shift while I was on nights at one time. We didn't talk at first, and while I thought she was attractive, did not want to deal with the work drama that usually happens when dating a coworker, as well as it turns out she was talking to someone else. Yes, very smart. Don't date your coworkers. You don't need the drama. You're there to earn a paycheck or build your career. You want to date some chick, that's pretty fine. Date someone that doesn't work where you work. You don't need that drama. But you're going to see things change. After a few months, when a spot on my shift opened up, she took it for the first few weeks, and we didn't talk except when we needed to for work-related topics or to convey work-related news outside of work, and when she also became a manager at my place of work. Well, after so long of working together, we ended up talking about non-related work topics on a break, somewhat after another female coworker and somewhat her friend stole the guy that she was talking to from her. Now she's gossiping with you about dating life and all that. Is she a manager supposed to be doing her job? Now, nothing came out of this. We would just chat or vent about shit in life to one another for the most part. I found out she had a reputation in her city school for being an SLUT before moving down here. Where'd you find this out, from her or other people? And she apparently had an abusive dad and probably the one that cheated on her mom, though I never confirmed it. Granted, I realized I was starting to catch feelings for Jill a month or so later, but decided not to act on these emotions until I believe she brought the idea of me and her to my attention. Now, it's been a while, my memory isn't the best, but I don't believe I set many boundaries outside of no cheating on each other, and hers being that she would leave when she wasn't happy anymore. Smack! Okay, you should get 2 smacks, but my shoulder's sore from lifting weights yesterday. So now you're getting involved with a woman that you work with who's a manager. I guess, is it your boss or are you a manager as well? I'm not quite sure. And apparently a reputation for being quite the SLUT before. This is not girlfriend material. And honestly, even I wouldn't even waste your time with nowadays. But he had to learn. Needless to say, we ended up together shortly afterwards. And right before the virus hit, at least the town we were in, we met up and hung out at my place after work for a couple weeks, almost on the daily. Had a lot of SCX, even more, so since I was a virgin before my relationship with Jill, I personally didn't use a condom since I had what I thought were some issues with my package, and my doctor at the time said I didn't have the chance for kids, though. I never took the test, and I trusted what he told me. Smack! You still wear protection anyway of catching something, given the fact that you made it clear she was apparently a reputation for being the town bicycle. Doesn't make a difference. And by the way, maybe something could happen and you can get her pregnant anyway. You ever think about that? Like maybe the doctor's wrong. Who knows? But of course, he said you were a virgin, so you were just dying to get some. I know you were young, and still are young, but still. Nor did she sense in her very first relationship, an abusive one that I had lasted for a few years, where they kept trying for a child without success. How a fool I was looking back. Anyway, the virus hit our workplace at the time, and eventually we both caught it at the same time. She couldn't keep staying with her mother at the time, and since she had some issues with catching sickness and such, and not sure how much to say in regard, since she could see this story, but her mother was extremely high risk for the virus. So I told her it was fine to stay with me during this time, since otherwise she wouldn't have a place to stay for the 2-week quarantine that we had to go through. Man, it seems like yesterday all that bullshit was going down, huh? As we got better and over the virus, what happens? Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am situation multiple times a day for the remainder of our quarantine. A couple days after we got out of the quarantine, she started acting weird around me, and all in all, we were fighting. I confronted her on break one day, and comes to find out that she breaks down thinking I'm going to leave her for some reason and freak out on her. She got pregnant during our quarantine with my daughter. Only reason being I didn't get a DNA test is because the doctor confirmed that she was conceived during our quarantine period by how far along she was. So, isn't this your doctor told you couldn't have kids, or there was something with your package or your balls and you couldn't have kids, whatever? Well, surprise, you can have kids. Always wear protection, gentlemen. Always. And bring your own protection and dispose your protection. And don't buy she's on the pill and don't take her protection. Anyway, I calmed her down and told her I wasn't leaving her and stepped up to taking care of the situation as best I could and being there for my daughter and at the time my girlfriend. Well, if this is indeed your child, then of course you're going to be there for your daughter, And if she was a good girlfriend, being there for her. But I still get a freaking DNA test because you never know what can happen nowadays. I know they had the time frame of conception once you conceived in that time frame that you were together all the time, but I still wouldn't, About this time, work found out about us since we didn't really keep it on the down low, and 2, she was getting noticeably pregnant. I got to keep my position and she kept hers, except I had to change shifts and now show affection at work, obviously. Yeah, you should be working together. No problem, I thought, yet the lack of affection we could put towards one another seemed to affect the relationship looking back, but not by much. No, it was because of something with her. That's what's going on. And it's actually good you're not around each other all the time, because typically when the woman has time away from her guy, it allows her to think about him and wonder what he's doing and miss him and all that. But when a guy and a gal are together all the freaking time, men fall in love by spending a lot of time with the girl. Women fall in love and develop a deep affection and attraction, but by distance and wondering about him and all that. It's the truth. Things were still going well at the time, and about, I'd say, between the 4 to 6 month mark through the pregnancy, we found out she's had an STD for a while and ended up giving it to me. This is what happens when you get involved with the town bicycle, as you were aware of before you started dating her, dude. Curable, thank God, and not sure how long she had it. I'd imagine before we got together, since one part of the symptoms was hard to conceive a child, and 2, since we got together and worked together, we were pretty much a joint at the hip and always together. And 3, I didn't realize I had shown symptoms since a virgin beforehand and a lack of STD knowledge. Looking back, I may have been mistaken since she freaked out when we found out from the doctor, and I had to calm her down again. What a great girl. Guys, this is why I do what I do, to share these stories. Not always the triumphs and everything, but also what not to do. Needless to say, we took the medication the first time, and shortly after, we were done, had some fun, and well, it turns out, it didn't fully get rid of it in the sense that we did. So another round of medication down the hatch. After this, she started being not interested in intercourse. Though the relationship stayed in a stable place. And by the way, bear with me, guys. He has a lot of run-on sentences here that I didn't have time to edit. Guys, when you write me the stories, please use good grammar and writing skills and all that. Thank you. When she was a few months out for the delivery of the child, I moved in with her out of my roommate's place to prepare better for the baby and save money. Granted, she was still living with her mother at the time and still is. It wasn't bad at first, though, and I wasn't bothered by it since I was more worried about our daughter during this time period. Nor did I mind doing more stuff around the house. Fast forward to her giving birth, and while she was born with no difficulty, after the stay at the hospital, she continues her maternity leave while I go back to work. After the healing period for her, I think is where things started to turn sour. She would rather sleep all the time and seemed to only want to watch our child at night, and rare times she was up. Granted, I let her sleep in and agreed to watch her during the day and her night. Though she started to push me away when I started to try to do anything dirty or act romantic, I chalked this up to her being postpartum depressed and waiting for her hormone levels to stabilize. And with us being busy taking care of the daughter, as new parents, I didn't pay it much mind. This continued until my kids stopped waking up in the middle of the night, while I kept the same schedule, and she got to sleep more since at the time she was back at work on the night crew. Well, yeah, people will tell you they have kids and they're not having the SEX for a while and all that, and there's postpartum depression, all that, but still, your girl has a history of drama and BS even before all that went down. When she went back to work, it didn't help matters either, so it made things worse. I get home after work, watch our daughter until she went to bed after getting her from her grandma, or great-grandma, and stayed till I had to pick up Jill from work around 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Hang out with her for a few hours before we went to bed and wake up between 6 or 7 in the morning to watch our daughter till I woke Jill up and left for work around 11 or 12 or something. Needless to say, around 18 to 20 hours up usually. Dude, that sounds like hell. This kept up until a few things happened. She admitted that she would only have SEX with me since I wanted it, and she didn't. Got mad at me that I kept trying to start fun with her. Only liked doing one round at a time. Nor does she want to experiment in the bedroom. Well, remember, now, again, like I said, okay, had a kid, that's a lot, of course. Postpartum depression, all that, but still, she's still, obviously, I'm assuming, pretty young, because you're young and all that, and this is probably not what she expected or wanted with her life. And obviously, probably blames you and has issues. And remember, she has the reputation for being the town bicycle, so obviously something's going on. But it doesn't take long for a gal that likes to roll in the hay to find somebody else. Foolishly, I told her I wasn't with her for the SEX and fine without it if we could work this out since I loved her. Smack! This girl is not relationship material. I told you in the beginning, you can't turn an HOE into a housewife, okay? And telling her pretty much that I'm okay with no SEX and I love you no matter what, that's giving her certainty that she can keep up with any BS behavior she has. You don't give them certainty. It's just, it is what it is. She hasn't done anything, in my opinion, based on your storytelling here, that warrants any of this. Also was the first one to say it, I know, though either from a lack of understanding where I was coming from, a communication issue, or her just not caring, or her thinking I'm a mind reader. Probably a mix of it all. The argument ended there. Anyway, after that I started to stop putting forth the effort in the relationship. I started using PORN to satisfy myself and mainly focused on raising my daughter, except for a couple times where I tried to show her affection just to be ignored. Then, dude, why are you with her? Okay, fine. If this is in fact your daughter, you don't need to be with this girl anymore. Okay, period. Split up. Okay, you break up and you raise the daughter separately, okay? Because joint custody, that's just how it's obviously going to be. If you're not getting any from her, she isn't showing you any kind of affection or treating you well, then why the hell are you with her? And I want to hear, because she's the mother of my daughter. No. It's just a bad place. It's not working. At this point, a flip switched in my head and I went somewhat numb. Though I wouldn't leave since I loved her and gave my word I'd be there for her and my daughter and her. I wanted to make it work. Smack. Yeah, you gave your word to her. What's she giving to you? I respect you want to be the good family man and a stable environment for your daughter, but it's not working. Okay, period. She doesn't deserve you. You're a good guy doing what you can, and she doesn't give a shit. Needless to say, after months of lack of sleep, and while she got home more personal time since she always snapped on me when I tried waking her up during the day to be with her daughter more, it seemed to want our daughter to like her more, but never try to change things for what happened on her, to have more mother and daughter time. I started to go to bed after I put my daughter to bed one night, and she had a sense I was off, which started another argument over me not being able to hang out with her. Then we fell into a co-parenting situation. She didn't seem to notice at first, but after a while she stopped trying as well, which I didn't notice myself at the time, surprisingly. Anyway, on to what happened a few months ago. This was with the coworker I thought we both hated, and I'll call him Gollum. Well, he can't be very good if his name's Gollum. Gollum and Jill are in the same shift, which wasn't a problem at the first sense. We both hated him, and she never tried to talk to the fucker. Well, as time went on, she started acting weird with her phone around me, and was more interested in things related to Gollum. Guess what? A lot of times when gals don't like a guy, think he's an a-hole, that means they're actually attracted to him. How many times does this happen? And if she's guarding her phone and acting suspicious, something's up. And she shouldn't be talking to some other guy. She's your girlfriend. You need to establish boundaries. I didn't notice this at first until one day when I woke her up. She freaked out on me and said something along the lines of, "I don't know if I'm attracted to you anymore." I couldn't stay to figure out what she meant, she was meaning, since I was late for work and had to hightail out of there, unless something was written up and like at work. On my break, I started talking to her, trying to understand what was going on through the text, since she always seemed to freak out on me on the phone or face to face. Dude, why are you with her? Seriously, how much suffering and bad treatment do you have to go through? And when she says, "I don't know if I'm attracted to you anymore," her behaviors told me everything I need to know before her actually saying that. You should have broken up with her. You should have been with her to begin with, but good Lord. She made it seem like she doesn't want to break up, so kept trying to work it out with her until realized it wasn't going anywhere. I started slowly moving out since I was the only one watching the daughter at the time, frankly. She's with you and keeping you around only because obviously resources and to watch the kid. That's what's going on here. After 3 days of no eating and drinking on my end, outside of drinking alcohol, shortly after I put my daughter to sleep, I went to work one day and a fellow coworker told me about how I knew about Jill and Gollum. Comes to find out that for however long, she was cheating on me with Gollum, at least emotionally, until we broke up and then started a relationship with him right after we did our breakup about a week later. Of course, because they already had something going on. Women will line up other dudes and then they'll break up with their original guy and they'll move right on. And these guys are like, what the hell? How could she move on so quickly? Because she already had a guy lined up. I thanked the coworker about telling me about what was going on and waited for Gollum to show up at work since Jill and Gollum's shift started a few hours before I leave. Her being there while the coworker is telling me this whole thing and her freaking out with crocodile tears and the like. I didn't talk to her since I knew whatever she told me when we broke up was a lie, and at that point. Remember in the beginning I say don't work with your coworkers? Don't date your coworkers, don't get involved with them. It's a job for the paycheck or building your career. This is all messing up his job, and you don't turn a HO into a housewife. I confronted Gollum to find out the truth, and truth I did find out. Now, I didn't start a fight with the guy since we all worked together, but after hearing everything he was willing to tell me, I walked up to Jill and only asked if it was true. She said nothing except half-assed lies, with her hand shaking in the air. I told her I was disappointed in her and frankly walked away after partly falling for her tears, calming her down, which I regret at this part on now. The only problem was Gollum kept trying to tell me more and more BS about the situation, and I eventually told him I didn't want to hear about it, and I was raised not to cheat on my partner. His only response was that she didn't want me to ask a lot of questions when she got home, which of course I didn't listen to and asked. Also, that he hoped we could be friends, but I think the look on my face told him all he needed to know. You're nailing the mother of my child, who I thought was my girlfriend, and you want to still be friends? Who are these people? Dude, you shouldn't even waste your time for explanations or any of this stuff. I know you're young, and find another job, then quit this job after you have a new job, move on. Anyway, I asked, and no answer outside of her saying I was going to tell you after a while, which I still don't believe to this day. More than likely, she was going to keep me on back burner of sorts. Of course she was. She wasn't going to tell you. Of course she's going to keep you around layaway whenever she needed you. That's what they do. Over the next week, I didn't eat or drink and was extremely depressed over the whole situation, drank booze a lot, and was down to 115 pounds. 115 pounds? Dude, how tall are you? I took care of my daughter as normal outside of that, and when I was out by the weekend, I started taking better care of myself. And when I got out of the house, and she hasn't kept my daughter away from me, so it seems to be pretty civil so far. Though one day she showed up at work slight tipsy after a break, and I showed up tipsy after a break, and she smelled on me and used it as a catalyst to get me fired from our job from a zero tolerance thing. And my boss using me as an example for some reason, even though I've been there for years, and at that point, everyone there still drinks. Grant, I know it's my fault, just ranting at this point. Yeah, you shouldn't be drinking and going on the job. That's stupid. Now, maybe you wanted to get fired. I don't know. I got a new job a few weeks later, thankfully, and I'm waiting to take my test so I can enter the military as soon as I can on active duty to better myself for me and my daughter, at least to give her a better life. So far, 50-50 co-parenting situation, but we'll see as time passes. Also, I'm full on sober since I got the job, which is awesome. Rose-tinted glasses, man, never again. So that crazy story shows you guys that why you need my material, why lots of young guys need my material or a male role model to teach them reality. You don't date your coworkers. You don't get a relationship with your coworkers. Don't even sleep with your coworkers. It's a recipe for disaster. You can't turn an HOE into a housewife. If you get a girl pregnant, it doesn't mean, if it is your child, it doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship together. She treats you like crap. And she treats you like crap and all these things, you walk. But there was a lot of drama and turmoil before she even got pregnant. So guys, lots of things to learn from this, what not to do. And thanks for bearing with me. The guy, there were round sentences here. I did my best I could. But I thought it'd be good to go over here on the what not to do situation here. And bro, what I have to say to you is this. First of all, yes, I'm glad you're moving on and you're aiming to go in the military, and I hope that works out for you. But you really need to look at the big picture these days when it comes to women and not make the same mistakes before. And I hope you definitely learn. And let me tell you, there's definitely some interesting gals in the military, so I'm going to advise you don't get involved with them or you might end up in the same situation. But you got to be there for your daughter, be the best dad you can be, and take care of yourself. Take care of yourself for your daughter. That's what you need to do. And you're going to have to be dealing with this nut job the rest of your freaking life with your daughter. But you need to be the bigger, smarter person here. And when I say bigger, I don't mean like letting her pull bullshit. But I guarantee you're going to be dealing with her bullshit probably in varying degrees the rest of your life, but you can't allow it to happen. So I wish you the best, and I appreciate you sharing your story to help guys out what not to do. I know you know now what you shouldn't have done, but you were young, you still are young, and you're a virgin, or you were a virgin, and you fell for her crap. So lots of things to learn from this story, which we can all help each other out. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.